We don't want the whole entire city, empire, or building falling down because you forgot to make sure your foundation is solid. So let's make sure our foundation is solid and go through the 5 tips of charisma. Right, so tip number 1 is just to smile. Smiling is key, and you can see this in people like Audrey Hepburn, right? She's always been this sophisticated lady, very charismatic, very charming. She always had a genuine smile. Of course, my favorite, Marilyn Monroe as well. And for a guy example, Chris Pratt, who played Guardians of the Angel, amongst other films, it comes to mind for me. Just a very genuine smile. Ultimately, if you want to have a genuine, nice smile, you have to practice at it. So, Tina, how do I get a genuine smile out of me? I don't smile all the time. I feel uncomfortable in front of the camera. I can't just turn on this genuine smile just because you tell me to. Really, how I essentially made myself come to that point is I did what I now call the giggle factor. If you want the giggle factor that you can take for the rest of your life, you can turn on a genuine smile, right? Whenever you want, whether you're on a sales meeting, whether you're at a networking event, or whether you're just trying to impress people that you simply just met. Do you want to know what the giggle factor is? Click that like button if you want to know. So hopefully that worked out. Anyway, the giggle factor ultimately is just making yourself giggle in order to bring out a genuine smile. So how I essentially did it is I looked in front of the mirror and tried to make myself laugh. And that's it. Now, in the beginning, it's going to be a little bit hard. You might have to think about something that genuinely makes you laugh. You might have to look at stand-up comedians. Maybe there's that one line that just like, it just gets you every time and you can't help but laugh. Maybe it's that friend. You have this insider joke that's just, you just think it's hilarious, right? All right, so when you're doing this and when you're practicing in front of the mirror laughing, I want you to do a few different things. So as you're laughing, I want you to notice your eyes, right? How they squint, your teeth and your mouth and how it's structured, how it feels. And then I want you to pay attention to your stomach, your diaphragm, like what is happening here. These are the key things that you want to really ingrain in your muscle memory. So when it comes time to just simply genuinely smile, you're able to just like turn it on and be able to smile because it's just in your muscle memory. We want to get it to the point where it's in your muscle memory. And in order to do that, you really have to pay attention to what you're doing when you're doing it. Instead of having it a reactionary activity, you wanted to convert it into something that's proactive, or you're able to make it proactive, right? So again, when you're practicing the giggle factor in front of the mirror, you really have to pay attention what is happening throughout your body in a muscular level. You only have to do it maybe for 1 to 5 minutes in the morning, right? If you wake up laughing every single morning, you are going to have a better day. It just goes into your subconscious. It goes into your psychology. It goes into your muscle memory, right? Because you're actually making your body practicing releasing dopamine in your head, because when you laugh, you are releasing dopamine and you're actually reducing stress when we laugh. It's exactly why chimps laugh. They did a whole study on why chimps laugh. It turns out that whenever they're in high stress situations, there's a big fight within the clan, so to speak, they actually laugh really, really loud. Not because they think another chimp killing another chimp is funny, but because they're in a high stress situation. And biologically, when we're in a high stress situation, the thing that brings our stress down naturally is laughter. This is why we love laughing so much. It's also the reason why we like seeing people who smile. We love seeing people who smile because it actually reduces our stress. Even looking at somebody who is genuinely smiling and just almost about to laugh, like they're almost at that point of laughing, right? And so we love that so much because it brings our stress level down. Our cortisol level shoots down. So even if it's just for your genuine well-being, your overall well-being, then I think it's great to start off in the morning doing the giggle factor in front of the mirror and making yourself laugh and putting that muscle memory into your whole entire being and carrying that out throughout the day. Tip number 2 is the eye contact. What is it about the eye contact and how should we make eye contact? So the general rule about eye contact is that you look away every 5 to 8 seconds. You don't want to stare somebody down and you just make sure you look at them so you can connect, right? You want to make sure that you find reasons to look away naturally and then come back to them with the eye contact. It's a non-threatening eye contact and you're not trying to stare them down. Make sure your eyes aren't open. I've seen some people who concentrate hard make that mistake. Or make sure you're not overly squinting either, like I'm about to do something to you right now, right? You just want to make sure you just have an eye contact. Hey, I'm paying attention to you. And when they're talking, you can look away easily when you're showing signs of thinking, right? Maybe you're taking in what they're saying. Maybe you're like, like, okay, I can see that. Okay, tell me a little bit more about that. Oh, yeah, I get that. I get that. Okay, what else? Right? So there's a lot of ways that you can look away naturally and then come back to them. And while you're talking, I think it's easier for you to look away, but make sure that you don't overly look away and get into your story or whatever it is, but you always look back at them, right? Make sure you come back home because they are who you're talking to. You're not just in your head, you come home to where they are, right? And you level with where they are. Of course, this is a way that you can make sure to know what they're feeling, what they're thinking, and play off of that essentially. So tip number 3 is transparency. Now, transparency might actually be a little bit advanced, but I wanted to stick this in here because when you're first meeting somebody, it's easy to point out something that brings forth transparency and it actually brings forth a sense of bond and trust. And trust is very important to actually connect with somebody in the first place, especially when you just meet them. Or even when I used to have crutches. Oh my goodness. Let me just say, if you ever are looking to just get out there and start dating and you want people to come to you, the lighthouse technique, which is people flocking to you instead of you going to them, crutches. You're welcome. Hit the like button. Done, right? You're welcome. Because, and even if you're not single and looking, if you're at a networking event and you have crutches, trust me, I'm not saying you should do crutches like as a technique, but if you have crutches, people will come, they naturally have something to talk about. And it's something it's temporary, so people feel comfortable more so coming up to you and asking what happened here, right? So transparency, what does that mean? It really means to point out something that's fairly obvious, the elephant in the room. It could be something that is an insecurity, potential insecurity that you're pointing out and making fun of, or something that's obvious and very awkward unless you point it out. And ultimately, the reason why we want to do that is to build trust. And when we're talking about meeting somebody and bonding with somebody right away, you want to build trust as fast as possible. And by being transparent, and let's say even your intention of why you're going to the person, or your intention of why you are here at this networking convention, or why your stomach is rumbling while you're talking to this person because you haven't ate this morning. I've literally come up to people and said, okay, to be honest, I had to come to you because your hair is just so perfect. I don't know how you managed to get up in the morning and do all of that. And it's 8 a.m. So I don't know what, you're some sort of magician or something, right? And people are like, oh, ha, ha, ha. Well, actually, especially when you're doing a compliment, of course, it works. It has to be genuine. But anyway, that always seems to work. The transparent nature of why you're here, why you're doing what you're doing. Now, a great example of this is Catie Turner, Katie Turner, all right? She was a contestant on American Idol. I don't watch American Idol. However, if you do watch the video breakdown I did on the 5 charismatic habits of Katie Turner, check that out on the eye icon and in the description after this video. One of the reasons why she's so charismatic and magnetic is because of her transparency. She doesn't hold anything back, right? And because of that simplicity about her and the fact that you feel that she's genuine, she's super genuine, she's not trying to hide anything from you, you instantly trust her. Even as an audience member who's just watching this on film, right? You instantly trust her as a human being because she's being so transparent and she's being so forthcoming. Now, another thing that you can do is like point something out that doesn't even really matter, like maybe my icy hot patch that I had to put on because I didn't sleep right, you know, hide that. But you know, it's that transparency level that's really gonna make you bond with somebody because it makes the other person feel like you have nothing to hide from them. That's it. It's very simple. Tip number 4 is hand gestures. So what do I mean by hand gestures? Really, they have to make sense to what you're talking about and your environment. You don't want to just have your hand gestures all over the place, right? So when you're talking to somebody, when you're going up to somebody, you want to make sure your hands are free. Oftentimes, we want to put our hands maybe in our pockets. Maybe we want to put it here, right? There's a stance that we want to simply put it at, which initially you can, let's say, right here, but as you're talking or as you're listening, you should actually make your hands a lot more free flowing because it directs people and it draws people in as far as attention goes. And really, ultimately, at the end of the day, charisma and being charming is a game of attention. It's a really fine dance of pushing them away and then making them come back in. And in order to do that, you want to make sure you're directing their attention wherever that may be, right? So whether it's your eye contact looking away and then maybe them wanting to look away too, and you're doing some sort of hand gesture there, or bringing them back into you, right? And there's a lot of ways to do that. But again, let's start at the foundation. Just make sure that you're comfortable using your hands, but not only that you're comfortable, but you're putting yourself in a position where you are able to use your hands. A lot of times I will have my phone in my hand, right? And sometimes that prevents me from actually doing some sort of hand gesture. And so oftentimes I'll either put my phone away or I'll put it on one hand and I do the hand gesture anyway, but it does prohibit from doing hand gestures. So just make sure at least one hand is free so you can express with your hands. If you're not used to expressing with your hands, again, look in the mirror and practice hand gestures. Look at TEDx talks. A lot of good speakers, they use hand gestures in order to redraw your attention back in. So look at what kind of hand gestures they do. If you're just using it like this, right? And you're like, ah, and that, and here, and this, right? So these are basic hand gestures. An open and closed hand gesture is usually very safe, and it's a great place to start as far as foundational hand gesture work. Tip number 5 is always hold a smile. Now, this is different from tip number 1, which is have a genuine smile. A genuine smile is like a full-blown genuine smile, right? But holding a smile is a whole entire different thing. And what I mean by holding a smile is that you make sure that you take off your bitch face, okay? And I am the notorious queen of bitch face because when I don't hold my smile, I look very angry. And it was something that was told by me by a lot of meditators. A lot of people apparently around me were afraid of me because I had this bitch face, which I didn't realize at the time because I was just really trying to like let go of everything, quite literally everything, and just going into this meditative state. And when I did, I also let go of what I trained to do, which is holding a smile. And what I mean by holding a smile is when you don't have any muscles in your face working. So this, right? It's really hard for me to do, but when there's no muscles happening, it draws everything down and you don't look approachable. And when you're not approachable on a day-to-day basis, or even if you're just walking down the hallway, people tend to not want to interact with you even once you come up to them and you have a genuine smile, because they think that you're trying to hide something. Because, how is it that you're flipping so hard? Now, there are times where you don't hold a smile, but in general, you should be able to hold a smile. And this is something that is extra work, because this means you have to always hold a smile. And essentially, this is really helping your facial muscles to hold your face together. How I like to do it is I really just do a little grin. And so to me, doing this feels like I'm smiling. But looking in the mirror again, when I look at myself and I know that even though I feel like I'm really smiling just with my mouth closed, it actually just looks very normal. So like this. It's not anything dramatic, it's not anything excessive, but there's a big difference between not holding a smile and then holding a smile, because from that neutral position, you can do a genuine smile, or you can actually go into something more serious. So when I don't hold a smile, this is how I look. Right? It's not very approachable. It's not very something that you want to just like go towards. And if I came up to you and I was holding that face and coming up to you and then all of a sudden going, hi, right? It's number one, it's harder for you to go into that genuine smile coming from a place where you're not smiling at all. Number two, it makes you look very disingenuous. So from that homeostasis, so to speak, you actually have the choice of going anywhere. The problem is a lot of people, we tend to not want to hold a smile because that's extra work on our face, right? It is extra work even on my face, even though I'm more used to it now. But to hold a smile, at least in the beginning, it's going to take conscious work for you to do it. And you're going to start to feel sore. Good. That means you're doing it right. Because when you hold a smile, you should feel a little bit sore because you're not used to using those muscles. But from that state, you're able to go up, you're able to go down. You have full control over how you express yourself, how you're perceived because of that homeostasis of holding a smile. Comment below and let me know the first thing that you're going to be working on, whether it's something that's new for you or something that you're really just brushing up on because it's simply a good reminder. Comment below, let me know. We're all here to just learn and grow. So I really want to hear that feedback. And if you want to know anything in general, please comment below and I will see you on the next video.